Here I'm going to go over evaluating functions on the state test. So first off, we need to remember that a function is like a machine. This is the function 2x minus 8. We put something into the machine, that's our input, we get something out. So we can put anything into this machine, we're going to multiply it by 2, subtract 8, and we get our answer. So what this is saying is, notice instead of x, they have a 3. They're saying that we are going to substitute in 3 for x. We're going to put 3 in instead of x. So when we do that, we get 2 times 3 minus 8. And on the state test, I want you to put that into the calculator and see what it equals. And you will get -2. This is a type of question you're going to see on the state test. They're going to have evaluating functions, but they're going to include fractions, they're going to include negative numbers, they're going to include exponents. That's why it's important to use your calculator. So here again, instead of x, they're saying 5. We're going to put 5 in for x into the function machine. So if you put 2/5 times 5 minus 8 into the calculator, you're going to get -6. Remember, when you're using the calculator on the state test, you put fractions in using the division symbol. So you'd put 2 divided by 5, and then times 5 in parentheses, minus 8. Here, same deal. It's a function. We're substituting something into the function. We're putting this in for x. So again, substitute and then put it in your calculator. It's important that you cup whatever you are substituting in for x in parentheses. So this is going to be inside parentheses, -5 raised to the third power minus 4.8. And when you put that in your calculator, you'll get -129.8. Here's another one. Again, they're giving us an exponent. Look, they're giving us a negative number. This is the type of question, the type of function question you're going to get on the state test. But you're still following the same process. Substitute that number into the function for x and then put it into your calculator. So instead of x, I put -3. And if I put 5 to the -3rd power plus 10 in my calculator, I'm going to get something different than some people might get when they are just doing it in their head. I've seen students look at this and think, mistakenly, this is -15 plus 10. And they'll say the answer is 5 and move on. That is not the case. The answer is actually 10.008, which might be surprising. But you would have to remember that if you weren't using the calculator to do your work on the state test, you'd have to remember negative exponents. You take that negative sign off, you move it to the denominator. 5 to the 3rd power is 5 times 5 times 5. This is doing it using your brain and what you've learned in class. And definitely you can do this, but please, on the state test, at least check your answer on the calculator and make sure you're getting the same thing. This is another type of function question you might have on the state test. This is a word problem. Now, it's important on these that you are going to look at it and look at the meat of the problem where they're describing it and see what is the function calculating. What is f of L? What is f with that big L in parentheses? What is it calculating? And if you notice in that second sentence, it says the function is used to calculate total points. So that means total points is f of L. That second column of my table is the f of L. So the number of levels must be L. And that makes sense. you're taking the number of levels and multiplying it by 8 and adding 10 to calculate the total points. The points depends on how many levels you completed. So now that we know this, we can now look at one box at a time. If we look at the first row, we see to calculate the total points, they're wanting us to calculate the total points. They want us to figure out what is f of L if L equals 2. So we're just taking L and we're substituting it in. We're evaluating that function for L, or L equals 2. So when you do that, again, substitute it in, put it in your calculator, and you're going to see that it equals 26. Now you do the same for that second row. You want to see what is f of L when you put 5 in for L. So 8 times 5 plus 10. But that third row is a little different. They're not telling us what L is. We don't know what L is. But we do know that f of L equals 106. So if f of L equals 106, we can put that in for f of L. And we want to solve this one for L. So we're substituting this in for f of L. So when we solve this, we're going to subtract the 10 from both sides. We get 96 equals 8 times L. And then we divide by 8. And you need to divide by 8 on both sides. And you should get L equals 12.